I hope you, like me and like others who have put this panel together, and I thank them all, we are deeply interested in how we advance the thinking, how we think of insurance as the first line of defense, and really want to make sure that you all have an opportunity to ask the questions we know will come about as the demos take place. And so what we'll ask you to do time and time again is actually put your questions in the chat. We will read them and discuss them with the panelists and really dive deeper in that format. But let me turn it over. I believe Devin Sherman, you're going to come and welcome us here. If I'm incorrect. Nope, there's Devin. Hi there. Devin, may I turn it to you to welcome everyone on behalf of MassChallenge FinTech?
Yes, thank you, Sarah, and the Boston FinTech Meetup, and thanks everyone for joining us today. I'm Devin Sherman. I'm the Managing Director of MassChallenge FinTech, which is a program that drives intentional partnerships between FinTech startups and large enterprises in insurance, as well as asset management and banking. So we just wrapped up our second year, and as we build for year 3, we're really excited to take some time today and learn from some of our incredible Insurtech startups. So to kick our demo days off, you'll be hearing from 3 of our alumni companies who are tackling challenges as they relate to quoting, services, and claims. And before we dive in, I also want to say a very big thank you not only to Boston FinTech Meetup, but also to Amica Insurance, who's sponsoring this event, and also introduce everyone to Jill Rasmussen, who is the Assistant Director of Digital Experience and Innovation at Amica, to say a few words. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Devin, and good afternoon, everyone. It's great to be part of this great event today. And speaking on behalf of my employer, Amica Insurance, we're thrilled to sponsor this year's MassChallenge Future of Insurtech event. I, again, am Jill Rasmussen, and I'm part of the leadership team here at Amica in our Enterprise Innovation Department. And just for a little background, Amica Insurance is a personal lines insurance company out of Rhode Island, but we are nationwide. We offer home, auto, life insurance policies for individuals and their families. And our specific niche is really offering world-class customer service and having casefuls of J.D. Powers Awards and other kind of rankings up against Ritz-Carlton when we're looked across industries. It's really a point of pride for us. But again, terrific to partner with MassChallenge over the years, tap into the incredible energy and talents, the nimbleness and the culture of the startup ecosystem. It's really a unique and vibrant space that we in corporate America can learn so much from. And of course, it's a great opportunity for us to source and partner enterprise-ready startups to really better our business for our customers ultimately. And if you'll permit me just a little bit about history, back in 2014, as probably you're very well aware, Insurtech sector really hit it big. Venture capital investment was coming in droves. At that point, we were really focusing on digitizing the customer experience. Then fast forward to 2017, enablement tech really took off. Solutions really aimed at meeting unmet customer needs. That could be around customer acquisition, policy issuance, underwriting, claims handling, and of course, administration. In 2019, the money in the billions kept flowing into the Insurtech space. It sure is a great and exciting place to be. Companies were looking to leverage AI and machine learning, again, all to be more customer friendly and personalized, as well as to drive greater efficiencies in all that we do in an operations standpoint, given the very competitive landscape that we operate within. And then, of course, 2020 hit, and with it, COVID-19. Talk about disruption and uncertainty. But also, as all of us know in this space, it's a time of opportunity, an opportunity for all of us to study and find new innovative solutions for the challenges that we're all facing. So in the insurance sector specifically, what did we find? Insurers were really doubling down on those digital interactions. They were expanding the things that they had already begun to improve handling for customers and for vendors to ensure that we were delivering services in a seamless way while ensuring safety. We were also looking for innovative solutions to reflect these changing times. For customers who are just buying a new home and looking to be insured, we kind of leverage video and photography for customers to take snapshots of their new home in specific areas of risk so that we could bind them online. So we wouldn't have to send that inspector out to their home. Also in the area of auto, we realized folks were driving less and less. So we wanted to refund some of their premiums. And that was a trick, getting our systems to cooperate with us, since they weren't designed to do that. And even in claims handling, we did more and more from a virtual standpoint, ensuring safety. But ultimately, what we learned is that there's a strength in community for all of us joining together to face these challenges. So next up on the agenda, we're going to hear demos from 3 different startups in this very inspiring Insurtech space. And I'm thrilled to introduce them. They will be leading with their powerful ideas and solutions for you today. These folks are from the MassChallenge FinTech alum. First up is Fenris, followed by BENEKIVA, and to round out the agenda today, we'll see SafeKeep. Thank you.
Hello everyone, this is Spencer Lesberg. I'm the Sales and Marketing Manager at Fenris Digital. A quick agenda for today. We're going to first have Jen Linton, our CEO, talk about some of the challenges of quoting in a digital-first world that brought about Fenris, our suite of solutions and the benefits experienced with them. And then we'll switch over to Jay Borland, our CTO, who's going to talk about the ease of implementation, how you can get access to our APIs, and about our custom score development. So first, here is Jen Linton.
We are Fenris Digital, enabling digital customer acquisition and identifying who becomes your best customer and easing the way. One commonality for all insurance and financial services products is they begin with a questionnaire. Whether that's over the phone, with an agent, on a mobile device, or your desktop, you're asked a series of questions. It's a spot of friction in the process, and that cumbersome process can lead to a lot of abandons, incorrect information, and a pretty poor customer experience. So at Fenris, we tackle that problem. We looked at the loss of sales, high cost of acquisition, the impact from inaccurate pricing of the risk, and we tried to reinvent that experience for the customer while still adhering to all the regulatory and systemic concerns. We solve this problem in 3 ways. The first is our applicant scoring APIs. The second is our proprietary and comprehensive pre-fill data. And the third is our advanced technologies. So to enable our clients to be able to deliver on this promise of streamlined quoting, we developed the most comprehensive identity repository and layered on top of that our data delivery platform. This includes 255 million individuals, 130 million households, 30 million small businesses, all properties, vehicles, and other attributes. And we continually scour for alternate and external data that is of quality that we can continue to append to these records and use as features in our machine learning and our scoring algorithms. This enables that 2-question quoting. Right? Just a couple of pieces of information unlocks the ability to then improve your conversion rate. Our clients see conversion rate improvements up to 3x, decrease their cost of acquisition, and reducing the manual effort of underwriters, agents, and even the consumers dramatically for what becomes more of an all swipe, no type experience. That delights customers. And it makes it truly possible now to have much more of an Amazon-like experience while still supporting the necessity for accuracy and detail. Let me share some updates for Q1 and Q2, which is our time at MassChallenge, and also overlapped with COVID and the impact that was felt around the world. We were fortunate that on March 2nd, we launched our all-new Insights delivery platform. That enabled us to keep pace with the demand we saw a 600% increase in our API hits in just the past 4 months alone. And as a result of working with MassChallenge sponsors, we were able to add life insurance as a product to our suite of pre-fill products. That's gone live into production and is available today. Our company is still working from home, and we are planning to relocate our technical office to Boulder, and we continue to add capabilities for custom score development for clients. I'd like to demonstrate for you one experience that when you use a series of the license snap, the predictive scores, and the pre-fill APIs, they string together to create a superior customer experience and enable higher throughput. In this example, License Snap is used and woven directly into your website. The customer who would have clicked on Start a Quote is then asked to take a picture of the back of the license. That license that image is sent to us. We decode it and return the information. And that's step one. Using that information, we're able to return the first 14 or so fields that start any application for any financial services product. But better than that, we're able to then access predictive scores. Again, using just a couple of pieces of information for identity on that applicant, we can return predictive scores around which credit tier and products they will qualify for. How likely are they to buy? Apply some cross-sell advice and the value of that customer, and predict longevity. And to ease the way, we then supply the payload of pre-fill data. In this case, for auto insurance, that includes drivers, vehicles, VINs, and additional information necessary to finalize the quote. All of that can be accessed in seconds and provide a much more streamlined customer experience that increases throughput and makes for better conversion. Let's hear from Jay Borland, our CTO now.
Our APIs are all REST-based APIs that have JSON returns. That means that they're very easy to implement into your system, whatever that system is. So by using these industry standards, we're enabling you to make this as easy as possible. And it's secure. We use another industry standard, OAuth 2, to manage the security for the API. So getting access to the APIs is even easier than the implementation. All you need to do is go to our website, select on the products, fill out a brief form indicating which products you're interested in, and we'll get back to you with a data evaluation agreement, making sure that you're using the data appropriately. At that point, you'll have access to the APIs you requested for evaluation purposes. The easiest way to get started with our APIs is to use the APIs we've been talking about. But if you need something more, we're there to help you. In particular, what we can do is create custom versions of all of our products that are based on your outcomes. This is a simple matter of adding a couple of extra APIs into your system to return results back to us, or having you send us a file on a regular basis to retrain your model. And that's all there is to it.
My name is Bobby Srivastav, and with me I have Brent Williams. I'm the co-founder, chief product officer, and he's the CEO. And we have an amazing founding team. We're in multiple locations internationally. We've created BENEKIVA because we were tired of seeing the same issues in the industry, such as outdated process, lack of integration, legacy systems, and these laws kept changing. We believe there's a superior path to revenue, which leads us to serve the people, retain assets, and serve the beneficiaries. This is our mission, bridging the gap. So today we're going to be focused on our claims module, and we have 5 other modules as well. This is some of the sample lines that we support within BENEKIVA. We have amazing traction. We've got several clients and a couple of partners. 2 top admin companies are integrating right out of the box. So I'm going to take us back a few slides to really highlight our client wins. We've had amazing wins such as operational efficiencies. We believe that we've solved the entire claims value chain. So it starts with intake and it goes all the way to payout and even more. Here's a little bit about our intake process. And this is from a customer service point of view, where they are searching for a policy, they're seeing all the information needed in order to get that benefit quote process. So here what you're seeing is they're entering information such as date of death, manner of death, whether it's a death, divorce, and once it generates the quote, what it's doing is pulling the benefit from the admin system and presenting to the user so that they can serve that beneficiary. So here's all the different requirements that we need in order for that claim to be processed, such as uploading a death certificate or an obituary. I've assigned that claim to myself. Once I've assigned it, now I can add and review beneficiaries that are on my file. I can also add new requirements. And as you can see, we can also launch new documents. This is our awesome claim intake, which is a chat-like interface, really allowing us to meet that anywhere, anytime, any device philosophy when it comes to claims. Here we're entering some basic information. This is an interface using your iPhone or your Android. I prefer an iPhone. You could even sign without having to go to a browser, guys. And voila, death certificate can be uploaded. I can complete that claim process and get an awesome confirmation screen. These are the ways that we handle workflow queues. As you can see, customer service, fax forms, and what we're going to show here is the various queues, how work gets allocated. So this is a team queue. If I'm a manager, I can see everything that my team's been working on and all the different statuses. And as you can see, we have contestable, we've got claims that are terminated. If a claim comes in, we can't find it from a fax, we can even associate it. So without having that horrible bin process that most carriers, and you know who you are, have. So here's attached a file to an active claim, and voila, your faxes are attached without having to do any manual processes. External file claims. This is where claims have come in externally. How do we make it easy for that claim staff to see the information, validate the information, and create a claim out of it? So here's, I'm associating that with the policy based on the data that I'm getting. And you can even use partial words, right? So if you know the first name or the last name or the policy number, once again, making it easier for the claim staff. I've confirmed it, and I'm going to create the claim out of this. Next in our process is all the different statuses that we can have. And I think I'm going to go back a little bit because I do want to spend time on our core technology that powers BENEKIVA. This is not a simple intake solution. And these are the rules that power that core technology. Our implementation process is very simple. We're very agile in our approach. We've won a couple of awards. We're part of MassChallenge 2020 cohort. And we would love if you can send us any questions, feedback. If you would like to see a demo, like to hear more about BENEKIVA, you can reach Brent Williams at brent@benekiva.com. You can reach me at bobby@benekiva.com. We're very active on LinkedIn. We're very active on Twitter. My handle is at B Srivastav. Brent, I believe, is at one Brent Williams, because there's only one awesome Brent Williams. With that, thank you so much, and hopefully you enjoyed our lovely demo, and we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Hi, I'm Daphne, a claims professional. The moment I receive your claim, I need to gather as much data as I can to answer 3 questions. Is this claim compensable? Was there someone else at fault? And should investigations take a closer look? While those questions may seem simple, they're not. The answers to these questions are determined by rules by jurisdiction, special handling, and rules based on my experience. What's more, I need to manually click into each claim to read through a ton of activity to make the right decision. And since there are hundreds of claims coming in each day, I may not catch every opportunity for subrogation or catch suspicious activity. ClaimFlow changes all that. It taps into my existing claims admin system, reads through my claim notes, and runs through hundreds of rules to identify claims for subrogation and fraud earlier in the claims process. It even explains why the claim was flagged, helping me to increase recovery dollars that go straight to the bottom line. It's super easy to use, taking me from first notice of loss to recovery in half the time. That makes my policyholders happy, and that makes me more productive. ClaimFlow. Let work flow.
I want to provide some context for our first demo. This user is an employee who gets injured on the job. Today's processes are difficult due to forms, disparate conversations that are tracked in notes, and the difficulty in getting reliable work status updates. Our SafeKeep app, number 1, helps claimants submit first reports of injury without the need for pesky forms. Number 2, it assists with appointments within the insurer's network. And number 3, it helps track the status of claims and payments. It engages claimants in time of need and deflects calls to a self-service model. But more importantly, the app's true power lies in its business rules, which determine whether the claim is compensable. This app is available to any insurer or broker who wants to set up a unique workers' comp program for their insured. So let's begin. The employee John signs in, and the system will already have info about John since his information was pulled in from the employer's existing HR or employee directory. So these screens are designed to verify that John's info is correct. The employer info will also already be known, but it's important to verify details on the employee's exact work location and job. Next, we're collecting info about the injury and occurrence itself. Regarding descriptions about the causes of the injury and the nature of the injury, SafeKeep has developed a new way to enter the info in a frictionless way. Come speak with me after the session to learn more. For this demo, we're going to enter in the details and continue. You can see it's also important we get any photos of the venue and the work site. Adjusters and SIU usually need to have this kind of information downstream. We get to final review, and the claimant or someone representing the employee is now able to sign using their finger. Okay, so now we have the claim. Next, it's time to make an appointment. Since SafeKeep is running business rules to determine jurisdiction of the claim, and we have info about the claimant's location, the app is able to show medical providers who are close by and who are in the insurer's network. The claimant can also see reviews, or the claimant can simply go back to the primary medical provider. We see details on the provider, pick a date and time, and confirm. In the final step, the claimant is able to see where they are in the timeline. You can see it's much more useful than just a pending or under review status. John can see that the claim was approved by the carrier and that his next step is to see Dr. Consuelos in an upcoming appointment. While the SafeKeep app makes the experience easier for both claimant and employer, it also serves as an important channel of data for insurance carriers. Specifically, it provides important info needed to run business rules. Ultimately, an adjuster needs to answer a simple question: is this claim compensable? It turns out the answer to that question is not easy. Rules can get complex and differ by line of business, jurisdiction, and insured. What's more, these rules are constantly evolving. In a COVID-19 environment, practically every state has a guideline or legislation that could affect compensability. So what is an adjuster to do? The problem is further exacerbated by the fact that data comes in from the insured and could be highly unstructured, making it impossible to automate business rules. Safekeep is ingesting police reports, medical reports, and third-party data. They come from either the carrier or we source the data for you. In our second demo, we put ourselves in the shoes of the claims adjuster and SIU specialist. Typically, claims adjusters are trying to gather as much info as possible about the claim. A claim doesn't always come in with complete info about the incident, injury, cause of injury, third-party liability, and more. In step 1 and 2, the adjuster is gathering info through phone calls, emails, and other channels. The more complex the claim, say in commercial lines, general liability, property, or workers' comp, the more manual the process. Folks sitting in steps 3, 4, and 5 typically want access to the same kinds of info and probably more. These folks include SIU, recovery, and third-party administrators. Each stakeholder will have their own sets of business rules that are unique to their own operations. Safekeep's ClaimFlow platform manages these business rules, runs them behind the scenes, and crucially, runs them earlier in the process instead of waiting for steps 4 and 5. As I'd mentioned, these business rules get complex due to the variation in jurisdiction, line of business, special requirements of the insureds, and other factors. By the time the adjuster, SIU, or recovery professional enters their queue, ClaimFlow will have already flagged claims for further review. Each claim gets a profile page which identifies the key details from your underlying legacy claims admin system. If you're running multiple claims admin systems, the end user gets a single pane of glass through ClaimFlow. Most importantly, he or she can see the rules that flag to the claim and drill down into further details. Our demo could be summarized in 4 key areas. First, ClaimFlow positively identifies the long-tail, lower-value, high-volume claims that are often overlooked by claims operations. Second, ClaimFlow provides full transparency of rule outcomes. Number 3, ClaimFlow highlights keywords in claim notes and identifies possible relationships that detect recovery and fraud. And finally, number 4, ClaimFlow removes the friction in the workflow process. The ClaimFlow solution has delivered proven value to other claims organizations, driving down loss ratios and reducing cycle times. This concludes our demo, and if you should have any questions, please let us know.
Hi, everybody. It's Sarah. I'm back. What a tremendous set of demos and very efficient. I'm excited to dive a little deeper in with the entrepreneurs and have appreciated a great deal all the questions that have come on. May I ask the entrepreneurs, Jen, Brent, and Jeff, if you all will turn on your videos. I see you all sitting here. Yeah. Hi, Jeff. Hi, Jen. Hey, Brent. Nice to see you all. I had someone recently joke with me, we never waved to one another when we left meetings, but here we are. So welcome. It's such a pleasure, again, to have you and speaking to our Boston FinTech community and the broader MassChallenge FinTech family. What great jobs you've done. And I wanted to kick us off just with kind of, I know you've been answering questions through the chat, but thought we might drill down. I picked up on some themes that individuals were asking you, each of you, and then also some themes you mentioned yourselves. And I was so struck that each of you in your demos really spoke to the challenge of friction. And I envisioned that this is a really important characteristic of each of your each of your products and your services. And I wonder if we might just capture, to kick our Q&A session off, if each of you could just kind of speak, 1 to 2 sentences about that concept of friction and what you saw that drove you to build each of your products. And Jen, I'll start with you, and then Jeff and Brent will go through just that idea of really what friction point did you see and what are you trying to solve with your products?
Thanks, Sarah. It's good to see you, Jeff and Brent. I'll wave at you guys as well because I can't see all the audience members. But yeah, friction has been, we like to think that, in other industries, Amazon, of course, is the dominant example. They've been able to take friction out with their one-click buy. And when I was leading insurance marketing for a direct-to-consumer auto insurance company, I wanted a better experience. This 50-question questionnaire was it was cumbersome, and it was just driving a bunch of people out of the funnel and costing a lot of marketing dollars. And so couldn't solve it back then, but fast forward now with data, technology, and with insights, we are able to inject those things right into the workflow. And where it's possible, we'll take friction out, and occasionally you want to pick a customer journey that does add a little bit of friction in for those that are a little, worried about making everything too easy for everybody. But I think it's about getting it right and personalizing it so that that customer feels valued at the very point of quote, the very first time they experience your brand.
Yeah, I appreciate that a great deal. Jeff, what about you all? How did it go for you? Yeah.
Well, at SafeKeep, we've had the privilege of working closely with Zurich as a North America finalist in their Innovation Championship. And there are 2 key things that we've learned in the discovery work that we've done with their claims professionals. First, there's a tremendous amount of friction around unstructured data. You can't run business rules and make decisions if all that data is trapped in PDF files, if they're trapped in notes, if they're trapped in reports. So the first thing that we figured out was that if we really wanted to move the needle on reducing friction, the best way to do that was to focus on data ingestion. The second thing is that there's a tremendous amount of friction going on with decision making. In today's world, particularly in the P&C space, the claims professionals reading through a ton of documentation. They come from various sources. And most importantly, when they read through all of that, they have to make a manual decision around whether they're going to go ahead with that claim. Is there, does it need to be further reviewed by investigation? Is there recovery potential? And when you ask any claims professional what happens if they get hit by a bus, unfortunately, a lot of the rules go with them. At best, maybe they're in binders. And so, with the claim flow solution, we really set out to solve for those 2 key points of friction.
Yeah, Jeff, thank you. Brent, what about you all?
Yeah, so we had this, prior to BENEKIVA, I was an investment financial advisor. I built my practice to about 300 million assets under management, and it taught me what policyholders and beneficiaries expect. And when it comes to claims, which is what our focus is, that's where the rubber meets the road for an insurance carrier. At the end of the day, that's literally what they're in business to do, is to process claims. But if you look at the landscape today, if you go into a carrier that has 20 products, right, 20 different products that they sell in the market, and you look to see how many systems they have in order to process claims, you may find 15 to 20 different claim systems. And so the struggle for claim staff was, when I process claims, I have to go to multiple different applications across the organization in order to gather the data needed in order to make a claim or to process a claim. So what we said was, we asked the question, what if? We visited over 400 claim staff professionals in the United States, and we asked the question, what if? What if you had one single claim system that could process all the claims across the organization, regardless of admin system, where the data is coming from, or product line? And what if you could actually process claims, policyholders and beneficiaries could process claims anywhere, anytime, any device? And that's what we set out to prove. Now with COVID-19, fortunately for us, we've been able to prove now that you can, claim staff Policyholders and beneficiaries can process claims anytime, anywhere, any device. We actually had a claim staff person processing claims from their carrier company iPhone at 10:38 p.m. at night. I can only imagine how the beneficiary felt at 10:39 p.m. at night getting their claim paid. That's just an experience that we just have not had in this industry.
Yeah, Brett, I appreciate that because you've led me into the next question. We had a tremendous amount of questions coming through the pike, so I'm going to try and weave them into the story. There's clear interest in all of your solutions, but Brent, I want to stick with you for a minute, and then Jen and Jeff, if you'll weigh in here. There have been considerable questions about data collection and implementation or integration, and I know that was one of the points with BENEKIVA that you said was that idea of systems integration. And I wonder if you might just talk about it in the construct of, how are you integrated, and what is the ease of implementation for each of you to get into your partner systems?
Yeah, it's a great question. We're working with about 10 carriers now in less than 24 months. And we identified as part of the research prior to building BENEKIVA. We did about 3 years of research prior to writing one line of code in BENEKIVA. And part of that research indicated that a barrier to entry for BENEKIVA was going to be connection to multiple systems across an organization. So to make sure that we solve that before we even come to the market, we built our own data configuration tool that allows us to quickly connect to multiple systems across an organization and take data files from old legacy green screen systems. Yes, we have connected to a green screen system, so those do not scare us. And we've proven that our implementation, our shortest implementation to get a product live, running up in production, processing claims live in production was 4 months. Our longest implementation was 7 months. So we've proven that we've succeeded on the research and built this system that was easily connectable to multiple systems across an organization.
Brent, thank you. Jen, I'm going to subtly twist that question for you. It is one of system integration and data. As you've seen, you answered it a couple times. There's tremendous interest in your capability to take information off of driver's licenses. So I wonder if you might answer the question about ease of integration and your application into other systems, and to the extent you're comfortable talking about that that capability that's so impressive to so many here in the audience.
Sure. Yeah. So with License Snap, that was the first thing I hoped to bring to market way back in like 2017. And maybe we were a little bit early there, but what we do is we supply an API, and that API can be woven into anyone's workflow. And so in particularly for that product itself, we've got a half a dozen companies implementing it. And in the past, we've done tens of thousands of field trials. So I did write a blog. So if anyone's curious and wants to read more about what the outcomes were, what the best practices were that we learned, we share those freely. And in fact, it's all part of the documentation we provide with that API. And we work with clients because as we provide the API, they've got to weave it into their user experience. We always recommend alternate data paths. So this is an optional type of thing that someone can use their mobile device, flip their driver's license open and take a picture of the back without downloading anything. We wouldn't put any additional steps, and that's just straight off the web browser, right? So that's a simple process for them to do. And it had really tremendous good take rates as well. So happy to talk with you guys about that as well. But again, it's all documented and it's all available if anybody wants to follow up afterwards. Happy to share more information on that.
Yeah, Jen, thank you. And Jeff, you featured ClaimFlow as one place of safekeep. I know you have a broader suite, so please, if you want to focus there on your integration and capabilities or the broader companies, would love to hear how your systems access or, thanks.
Sure.
Yeah.
So we're currently working with some PNC co-design partners. And, one of the key things that we've learned is that we have to strike a balance between quick wins and longer term integration. As we all know, integrating with existing legacy systems is not an easy thing to do, and oftentimes could take a long time. And so in order to drive quick wins, one of the things that we focused on was leveraging the existing data that they were already sending to TPAs. So taking in the data, claims data that they're already have in files, that they're already sending in batch. It's kind of ugly, but it's a good way to take in the data immediately, drive it through our models, and demonstrate quick wins, direct impact on the recovery rates. So that was the first thing. Longer term, as we think about kind of mapping our object model to the source systems of our co-design customers, we have been thinking about API-driven sharing of the data between our system and that of their legacy systems. We often encounter a lot of homegrown legacy systems as well as off-the-shelf players like the Guidewires, the Duck Creeks of the world that are kind of the 800-pound gorillas in the P&C space. So, our strategy is drive quick wins, do that with the data that they're already sharing with their partners, but most importantly, creating the partnerships with their off-the-shelf providers that run their claims admin systems.
Yeah, Jeff, thank you. It's a nice, again, we just have these beautiful segues as if you all are experts in what you're doing. Robert Kirk has asked us probably the white elephant in the room question, and he writes to all the panelists, COVID has changed all interactions for all companies. What has been your biggest hurdle and concern with insurance companies, and has that changed, or working, I guess, with insurance companies, and has that changed with the quarantine? I might add just a little also note there. You're all using our mobile phones to the fullest advantage at this moment. So if you want to talk a little bit about that too, I think we'd all be curious. But, Brent, let's go back to you. We have Jeff and Jen a minute, catch their breath. But what's been really hard about COVID in your interactions? Yeah.
Yeah, our COVID has actually been a positive for us. We hate to use a negative situation like COVID to be a positive sales tool, but the facts are the facts. And the facts are, in a moment's notice, carriers had to shift to remote processes. And our platform allows that shift to happen very quickly and seamlessly. My fear is I've been in this industry since, for 18 years now. My fear is that we potentially can have short memories in the insurance industry. And what I mean by that is once the dust settles and we get back to life as normal or business as usual, my hope is that the carriers don't forget about this process and just simply go back to their old way of doing business, their old way of thinking. I believe digital transformation is going to change. The paradigm is going to shift from just digitizing processes literally to anywhere, anytime, any device. That's the goal. That's where the goal should be. The paradigm should shift to, because you mentioned it yourself. At the end of the day, if a customer can't do their entire process from this, they will find another company to do business with.
Yeah, thank you for that. Janet, it looks like you might have a similar response, but I am curious if there's challenges, and then of course, as Brent mentioned, opportunities that have happened through this crisis.
Yeah, well, I think one of the challenges for us, just me personally, has just been the isolationism of everything. I mean, I don't know if everybody's starting to feel it, but I am starting to feel it. So I'm grateful for days like today where I can see all these happy faces again, because I'm used to going into an office, and working from home can be hard. And I think that's the thing I worry about most for teams. The insurance teams we work with and others, we do see that sometimes the weight of COVID, right, and the sameness and dealing with all the uncertainties is weighing on them. And so I would hope that, we can help them, just by taking some of these concerns off their plate about, well, how do we do these certain types of things? But in the long run, I totally agree with Brent. Digital transformation was queued up and ready to go. We saw all the early adopters taking advantage of it. Luckily, some of us were positioned, and then it hit. And we're all about making a customer experience the best experience it can be. And right now, it has to be digital. It has to be a way that agents and consumers and underwriters can all interact with the data without being face to face. So that's been challenge. That's been good for us. And on the other side, I think everyone would agree we probably had slower sales cycles potentially. Some have sped up, Some have gone very slow. So it's been a balance back and forth. I think that's pretty good. But I think for the most part, we benefited from the COVID experience just as we wrapped up and launched our new platform just in time.
Yeah, yeah. I'm going to get to your new platforms and all of your capabilities to generate insights. That's going to be my closer question. So each of you offered up amazing insights. But Jeff, before I go to you, I was going to ask Jen really quickly. There were some questions, and perhaps all of you have insight here. But as we have seen our insurers need to transition to a digital environment, so have we as individuals. And that, insurance is such a weighty topic at times. I had a conversation, I said I wouldn't call him out, but Luke Lennon and I were preparing yesterday for this conversation. And I said to him, what do you think about insurance? He's like, I think I got to have it. And so when I think about this concept, and he wasn't as trite as that answer, but it was this unpacking of the necessity of insurance. But when you intersect a very personal, risk-adjusted purchase, investment of insurance to protect yourself with the digital environment. And then Jen, one of the questions for you was how many people, when they go to do the mobile app and capture their driver's license, how many people drop out of the digital process themselves, not the insurer, but the digital process? Do you see a drop rate?
Yeah, so specifically to that, I think what we did in our tens of thousands of studies and field trials is we established some ranges. It depends on the audience. So if you're targeting a younger audience, upwards of 70% will instantly take advantage of that. And it just also depends on how you articulate the benefit, right? People are usually willing to give up something like information if they feel like they're getting something in return. What they don't want to do is feel like you've taken advantage of them. So it needs to be articulated in an opt-in with alternative ways for them to get that data in. Remember, if they don't choose License Snap, there's an alternate path that says just type in your name and address. We can go that way, or you can default back to the traditional way that you've done.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So optionality is the key. People come to you and they want to be met with their needs in the way they want to be served. And fortunately for us, more and more of that is becoming online and on digital devices.
Yeah, Jen, what a great answer. And Jeff, what about you? The challenge. The question was this idea of what challenges are you encountering because of COVID? And I'll spin it just like Brett did. Not spin it, but suggest to you there's also opportunity here. What can you share with us about your work?
Well, you're talking to an eternal optimist here, and even in the face of COVID, I gotta say, I founded SafeKeep about a year ago. We've become a North America winner for the Zurich Innovation Championship. And it's been great for us at the top of the funnel. I would echo what Jennifer said, which is that in some cases we've seen acceleration of conversations around the solution because of the interest around driving efficiencies and driving hard dollars to the bottom line. So at the top of the funnel, I actually think that COVID has been helpful. You've got decision makers who are more available, spending less time on airplanes, spending less time commuting, and therefore have more time to kind of think deeply about what's going on in their ecosystem. At the bottom of the funnel, when it comes to deal progression and kind of more mature projects, things have kind of been at risk because carriers are kind of stopping and thinking and reevaluating the priorities and figuring out, okay, are we putting the right kinds of investments into the right kinds of things that are going to drive real dollars, real hard dollars for us? I think the bottom line, though, is that for any carrier that's out there, what we've learned in working with folks in the P&C space is that, number one, when you're dealing with an environment where regulatory changes and business rules are constantly changing, where there's a lot of confusion around the difference between a bulletin, a guideline, and an actual law that has passed, there's a tremendous amount of opportunity for startups who are seeking to solve for that problem of kind of cutting through the noise and driving decision-making, clear decision-making. And then finally, the second thing is, as long as you remain super focused on use cases that drive hard dollars to the bottom line, show real efficiencies to real end users with real problems, there's always going to be room in the budget for solutions like the ones that the three of us have been presenting. On the second part of the question around mobile, I ran Salesforce's insurance business unit for several years before founding SafeKeep. And I come from the world where it's not just about mobile, it's not just about contact centers, it's not just about face-to-face. It's important that carriers think digitally across all channels, not just about mobile. And likewise, I think in the COVID world, it's all about giving the policyholder choice. If they want to contact you through phone, if they want to talk to an advisor, if they want to use a mobile phone, it all has to be integrated around a single view of that policyholder. And so, my attitude around mobile is it's just one of many channels. Yeah. And just for demo purposes, it's the sexiest thing to present. But, you got to be thinking about all channels.
Yeah, Jeff, thank you for that.
Sure.
I just want to acknowledge we are winding down, and I've been getting hit over text to just kind of, let us go back and give thanks. There are a number of people who will follow us on here, and thank you, including Devin Sherman. But let me just do that really. Let me just say one thing. There are lots of texts in the chat room. If you all have time, or I think we can work to get some of those questions to you. But please know that for all of you in the audience who have asked questions, we apologize that we have had such an engaged moment that we're missing out on answering a lot of these really good questions. But with that, let me just go back through, Brett, Jen, Jeff, one or two sentences. Insight generation. Each of you mentioned it as an attribute of your product. What is it that makes your products special in that insight generation way, and what can we look for in the future from you all? So, Brent, let's go with you.
Yeah, so our biggest differentiator for BENEKIVA is, again, if you go to a carrier and you see these multiple systems across an organization for claims, once BENEKIVA is installed, a couple things happen. You have, instead of 15 or 20 claim systems to process claims, you have one. And all of those manual workaround processes that occur today in carriers, once BENEKIVA is installed, all of those manual workaround processes are gone. So that's our biggest differentiator.
Thank you, Brent. Jen.
Well, thanks, Sarah. It lets me tout some of our products. Our scores that we deliver via API, those are insights that in seconds, anyone who is creating an acquisition funnel for customers will know up front immediately, is that a real contactable person? What's their likelihood to buy? Do they fall in the 4X? They're 4 times as likely to buy or not? What products would be appropriate for them? How can I design a customer journey? And we're even doing a new score that's persistency or longevity. So will they still be around paying? Insurance is a subscription. So will they still be paying their subscription at 4, 5, 6 months? These are all scores and insights that we deliver up front, because we know if you know that up front, you can deliver better for that potential applicant. So that's how we've delivered our insights.
Wonderful, Jen. Thank you. And Jeff.
Yeah, we're different in that we apply business rules to address complexities around line of business, whether it's auto, property, general liability, or workers' comp. We see a lot of complexity around special handling rules. And so we apply these business rules to help carriers drive up recovery rates, which result in hard dollars to the bottom line. We've had a lot of success, and we're currently in a design relationship with a large global carrier. Happy to work with those who are in the P&C space. And let's have fun doing it.
Yeah, you all, thank you. I just can't thank you enough for what you're doing and in this time to see your innovation and your ideas, and appreciate. I actually am pretty enthused that the future is brighter because all of you in these moments. So everybody keep your chin up. Devin, are you there to take us home?
Yep.
There you are. Hey there.
Thanks so much, Sarah and the Boston FinTech Meetup team. Thank you, Jill and Amika Assurance, for sponsoring. And thank you, of course, to Jen, Jeff, and Brent for some excellent demos and a really dynamic discussion. Quick note, if anybody has additional questions for our startup founders, you can reach out to them through our team at fintech@masschallenge.org, and we will connect you. We also have 2 more demo days at the same time, noon Eastern Standard Time tomorrow and Wednesday, covering data solutions as well as customer and employee experience. So hope to see you there, and thanks again, everyone, for tuning in.